Hello, I'm David and I'm the product manager and founder of 4 Hour British Systems. This week I've been joined by a work experience student, Joe,
Hello.
and he's been developing a multi-plug extension. Just give me a little bit of introduction of what you're doing in academia at the moment, Joe.
So currently I'm a A-level student at Paul High Sixth Form, and I'm studying A-level Maths, Physics and Computer Science alongside AS level EPQ.
Yeah, what impressed me about Joe is he contacted me by phone, which even I get quite lazy when I contact people. I start to send off emails, but he contacted me by phone, which impressed me. And this was a bit of a demonstration of whether development of multi-plug extensions could be done independently, away from any sort of team. So this week, Joe's been working on the file importer extension, which is an extension that was requested by one of our customers in Malaysia. They wanted to export data from a spreadsheet or from another system and then be able to import it into the SMEMA Hermes adapter. Sounds a bit old school using files, but actually when you're using a browser, it's quite easy to download a certain type of file and then import it into the system via the app. So you've already used C#.
Yeah.
In a console application. This was the first experience of using a browser as the user interface.
Yeah.
So I guess your first challenge was?
So my first challenge was firstly just getting familiar with HTML. When I first saw the software, I couldn't really understand any of it, and that's because at school we only study C# and we don't do any web-based programming languages. So that was probably my first major that was my first major issue, is the fact that I didn't understand any of the HTML.
And that's quite common, I think. It throws even me, because HTML goes top to bottom, but the actual visualization is sometimes to the side. So the code goes downwards, but actually what you're making goes to the right. And then if you have one tag missing, or if you have some minimal thing missing, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, so that was static HTML, and then there was injecting of the data.
Yeah, and that was done through Razor, which I essentially thought it as like the bridge between my C# program and the HTML output, so the web browser. So that was used to essentially inject the data which is entered on the website into the actual C#.
Yeah, so that introduced you to MVC. You remember what that stands for?
I believe so. C controllers.
Model View Controller.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got introduced to the view being the HTML, the model being a class full of data, and the controller being the controller of the post or the get.
Yeah.
And what else did you learn from just generally programming language, C#? Did anything else you want to?
Yeah, so I learned some new C# techniques and terms that you can use. So in school, we've never learned about this. We've only really learned about functions, but I was introduced to events where functions you normally call forward, but an event is like a function, but you're calling backwards. And today, actually, I learned about the continue, and essentially it's similar to break, but it takes you back to the top of the loop that you have, rather than break taking you out of the loop completely and then continuing down in the code.
So prior to Joe starting, I made sure I listed a bunch of issues on GitHub, and so Joe's been able to use GitHub. That's another thing you probably learnt to use.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's been able to check in his code and gradually work through those issues during the week when we've been in work time. We've been based at Bournemouth University in the library. I'm a graduate here, so I'm got the privilege of being able to work from the library. So we've been based here because originally I'm working from home. So originally we were going to go and work from home, but I think it's been worked well to work from the university, and that's why we're here today. And also we went for a few tours.
Yeah, so we went on 3 tours. So on Tuesday we went on 1 tour, or was it 2 tours?
One tour.
So on Tuesday we went on 1 tour, and that was to CT Productions, and they basically are a contract manufacturer for PCBs, so that's printed circuit boards. And then essentially what we saw was the manufacturing lines, so the machines that they have, and then just the general steps that you do to create the PCBs. So for example, you have rails, and the rails will have the components like, I don't know, resistors, and that will be put into a machine, and that will be put onto the boards. That's just one of the many
started to learn about terminology of the industry, didn't you?
Yeah. Fiducial. So on a PCB you'll have holes, but they're small holes normally around the outside of the PCB, and it helps the machine that's going through it, helps it to align the PCB, obviously, to prevent a dodgy board.
Either being printed wrongly, or when the components are placed on the board in the wrong location.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Wednesday we did 2 more tours.
Yeah.
So
on Wednesday morning we went to Unix traffic, and it was essentially very similar.
But this time you knew what you were looking at, didn't you?
Yeah, this time I understood, and they make PCBs as well. That's the common theme across all of these. However, this is for traffic installments, so traffic lights or traffic boxes. And then following that we visited Pulse A, and they do the exact same process.
They also make their own product.
Yeah.
So the first one was a contract manufacturer where they make stuff on behalf of other customers. The last 2 made their own product, but Unix was kind of transitioning.
Yeah, like a hybrid.
Yeah, they were originally Siemens, but now they're a different company, and so they're trying to make products for other customers now.
Yeah.
So they're going through probably a learning curve through that period. So we are on final day. He's completed the job. I'm really happy.
Yeah. After lots of struggling. Yeah.
Lots of struggling, but as I say, it's all on GitHub. So I think in years to come, you'll be able to look back at what you've done, and you'll go, that's what's great about using these open source technologies and technologies on the internet. And all I can say is thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck in your future. I think you're going to be great at what you do.
Hopefully.
Keep coding up, keep coding, keep in contact.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure. So
thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Awesome. Joe committing his 7th issue to the GitHub. Happy.
Yes.